Hi, I'm Doug Davidson. I'm the Research and Instructional Services Librarian here at Northwestern Oklahoma State University. In this video, I'm going to quickly orient you to some elements of our library so that you'll be better equipped to use it in your research. Allow me to share my screen here. So our library is arranged on the Dewey Decimal System. If you ever visited your local public library in your hometown before coming here, it was probably arranged on the same system. What this means is that our books are grouped by subject, and these subjects are designated by numbers. One of the beauties of this particular system is you don't need to know what the numbers stand for. You don't need to know exactly how the system works. All you need to know is that when you look up a book, and I'll show you how to do that in a little bit, you'll be given a number. That number will tell you where the book is located on the shelf. The shelves are likewise labeled with ranges of numbers, such as you see in this illustration here. So you can find the shelf in which your book falls, the range for those numbers. I do have here a chart that will show you some of the basic divisions of the Dewey Decimal System. These are what are called the classes of the system, such as the zeros through 099 is general reference, information science, or 600 to 699 is technology, applied science, and medicine. And of course, there are much smaller divisions within those range of numbers. You don't need to know what the numbers stand for, but because books are grouped by subject, when you are finding a book on the shelf for a research project, it is a good strategy to scan other titles nearby because they're likely to be relevant to what you're doing as well. So one additional point is we have what are called cutter numbers. This follows the Dewey Decimal number. Again, they're ranged alphanumerically. So again, you don't need to necessarily know what the number stands for in order to be able to find your book. But basically, these so-called cutter numbers are actually a code that represents a shortened version of the author's name. The main reason we use this is so that regardless of how long an author's name is, we can fit it on the spine of the book. I know those numbers can be a little intimidating. They kind of look like gibberish when you see them the first time, but just know the books are arranged alphanumerically on the shelves, and then you can find any book that you're looking for. And of course, if you are having trouble finding a book, if you think you're in the right place on the shelf and just can't locate it, ask a librarian or ask a student assistant at our front desk, and that person will get you the help you need and make sure that you get your book. Let's move on from there. I'm not giving the quiz right now. Let's move on from there to some additional points about our library. I'm looking here at the main page of our library. I'll show you how to get there. I'm going to open up a university page. You'll probably recognize the website of the university here. There's this drop-down menu at the top. Under this resources tab, you'll find library services. That will take you straight to our library page. The very first thing you'll see in the middle of the page is a search bar. That is for our catalog system. We can type in any kind of book that we happen to be looking for. And if the book comes up in the system, and of course, you don't have to search by title. You can search by subject or by keywords. If we have the book in the system, you'll be able to get information on it. So here I have this particular encyclopedia. It says right here that we do have it. If I click the title, it'll bring me up details on the book. And down here is the most important part. This tells you where it is located. In this case, because I chose an encyclopedia as an example, the call number, which is, again, its shelf location, starts with an REF. That just stands for reference. Books like dictionaries, encyclopedias, atlases are located in our reference section. And then what follows that is the Dewey Decimal number. So you could go to the shelf in the reference section. There's probably a shelf over there that's a range of, say, 510 to 540. You would find this book in there because it is number 530. That is the basic gist of how the catalog works. But the catalog does not merely search for the books that we have on our shelves. Most of our resources are electronic, and so this catalog will find you not only books on the shelf, it will find you ebooks, which you can read right away on your computer. It will also find you articles in periodicals, such as journals and magazines. Most of those also we receive electronically, and so you would be able to read those online on your computer as well. Let's see, because of what I put in. Well, here's an example right here. One of the things that came up in my search is a book review, probably out of a journal entitled Reference and User Services Quarterly. That's a library journal. You'll see here there's a button that says View Full Text. I'm going to go ahead and click it, and that should bring me up. Oops, well. That should bring me up the article. In this particular case, let's try this again in a slightly different way. Normally that would bring me straight to the article itself. It looks like there's probably some kind of error in the metadata. That's how things like this can happen. It took me to the journal instead of the article. There's a couple of things, however, that I can potentially do from here to get the article, even after I've had this difficulty. For example, we see right here, it tells me when this was published in this particular journal. We know it's volume 43, number 2. Over here, since I'm looking at the information for the journal, I can find that from 2003, volume 43. What was the issue number again? Number 2. So it should be in this winter issue somewhere. If we wanted to read this particular book review, it should come up in that list somewhere. Another possibility is that it might appear in more than one database. Now, probably the database that and I'll explain what a database is in just a moment. Probably the database that it opened is the first one, this professional development collection. So we can try opening it in some of the other databases to see if it comes up the way it's supposed to. Not that time. Sometimes we may get a good link. Most of the time, of course, if you click on one of those links, you won't have this difficulty. In this case, since it's causing the same issue each time, our best bet is to do what I did earlier and actually search within the journal based on the information we have about where the article was published. Let's come back to our library main page. I mentioned databases. We subscribe to services from a number of companies that curate information, especially articles published in journals, and aggregate them together in these large collections that are called databases. We have a variety of these dedicated to a wide range of subjects. This drop-down menu here, if you look under databases, you'll be able to get quickly to the relevant databases that you're looking for. You'll see down here, they're laid out by subject. Up here, they're laid out by the particular company that hosts them. The company that we get most of our databases from is called EBSCO. They have a platform called EBSCO Host. You're likely at some point in your college career to hear that word. You may have a professor who, for example, might give you a research project and recommend that you find articles in EBSCO Host. What the professor is really telling you there is to look for articles that are hosted by the library, rather than say, searching on Google, where there's a higher chance that the information you get will not be of a scholarly nature. So EBSCO Host, again, is just a platform. It hosts, I think, around 90 databases that we currently subscribe to. If I click on that link to EBSCO, that will take me to their page. We're now off of our website and on EBSCO's website. I can look at the complete list of their databases. And this list that will come up is all of the databases that we subscribe to from EBSCO. So we have, for example, this APA Psych articles, which is a psychology specific database. applied science and technology source, obviously a science and technology database, and so forth and so on. Business source complete, a business database. Obviously, not all of those will be relevant to every research project that you're doing. It will be a good technique to research in databases that are relevant to your subject so that you don't end up wasting time in ones that are irrelevant. One, however, that you can always be sure to search for any subject, because it covers almost any subject, is this first one listed, which is Academic Search Complete. This is a very broad database covering a wide range of subjects. It's kind of the main, you might say, main focal point of our EBSCO collections. If you want to look at all of the databases we have and not just the ones from EBSCO, you can again do that from our main page. We have what is called the A to Z database list. This is exactly what it sounds like, an alphabetical list with descriptions of all the databases we subscribe to. I think we have 104 at the moment. Now, because this is merely alphabetical and there's 104 of them, it can take a lot of time to go down through this entire list to find the ones that are relevant. And for that reason, we have organized them by subject. So for example, I can click on business and then I'm down from 104 to only 28 databases. And the most important ones, the most relevant ones, are listed right here at the top. So if I'm researching in business, probably the first place I will go is Business Source Complete. I'll search for articles in there relevant to my project. And then I would also supplement that with an additional search in Academic Search Complete. And depending on what I'm doing, that may in fact be sufficient. Additional searching in the catalog may also be a good idea. Possibly other databases on top of that, again, depending on precisely what my project is. But you can get the most relevant databases for any subject by finding them within this list. And again, also those are actually laid out in the drop-down menu, so you can go straight to a specific subject from there. Those are the most important elements of our library website, but I do want to show you a few additional little items that will possibly give you a big help. Right next to this database tab is the research guides tab. Research guides are collections of resources and information that have been put together for a specific subject to help you research in that subject more effectively. Just to grab one as an example, let's say that we wanted to look into a research guide on mathematics. Many of these are specific to specific courses. In this case, the only mathematics guide we have at present is for Math 3043. Although even if you're not in that specific class, there's likely to be resources in here that are relevant to you if your study is mathematics. Right on the front page, there will be a search bar, so you can search from the catalog straight from here. So you can use this guide as a beginning place for your research and also conduct your research straight from the guide. There may be some additional information. There will be some recommended databases that will show you which databases are likely to be most relevant, some journals that may be worth looking into, books, and then you'll see more extensive lists of these kinds of resources under the recommended resources tab. In this case, for example, I click on books and ebooks. There is not only, again, another search bar for books in our collection, there is tips on how to search in our catalog, and also a list of suggested titles from our catalog, which may give you ideas about where to start your research. These kinds of features are common to pretty much all of the research guides that we have. So it's often a good strategy when you start a research project, see if there is a relevant research guide. You can use that not only to get ideas, get advice, but also to see some resources that have already been selected as potentially useful to you. That will prevent you from getting stuck in the initial stages of a research project. One final thing I do want to discuss with you is your account. You will want to set up an account with the library. Unfortunately, this is separate from your self-service account. We haven't yet been able to combine those into one, though there is some hope that we'll be able to do that in the future. Your library account, I hope I'm not logged in already. Let me see. Oh, good, I'm not. Your library account, instead of the first part of your email, which is what you use for a lot of other logins at the university, this one will require your ID number. Your ID number is how the library keeps track of what you have checked out with us. If you've not set up an account yet in WorldCat, that's the name of our catalog system, you put in your number and then you'll select Set Reset Password. It will give you an email with some instructions. You'll be able to set up that account. Then later, when you log into that account, you'll be able to see what you have checked out, and you'll also be able to renew your items remotely. So you don't have to come into the library to renew things that you have checked out. Let's come back to our main page. Whoever wants to go back from that place. A few other things I will mention. I know that many of you are not here on the campus. You don't have physical access to the library. So there's a couple of things I want to point out for you. One of the first is that when you access library resources from off campus, you're very likely to hit a screen that will look like this right here. This red screen. Because you don't encounter that in any other places, that sometimes manages to confuse some of our students. What that is merely a login to ensure that you are a member of our community and therefore can access our subscription services. It's in our contract with companies like EBSCO that we can't just let anybody use our resources. They have to be people who are actually members of the university, but that includes you. So you will put in your username, which is exactly the same that you put in self-service. It's the first part of your email, and your password should also be the same as what you use on self-service. If you can't log in with that information, your self-service username and password, it means something's gone wrong in the system. We've got programs that aren't talking to each other properly. So you need to contact us right away. We'll get in touch with IT, and we'll be able to figure out that problem. So I would recommend, actually, when you're off campus, go ahead and try to access a database, see if you see the screen, see if you can log in through it without any difficulty. That way, if say you have a project that's coming down to the wire, you won't be dealing with that kind of technical difficulty when it's time sensitive. So I recommend getting that figured out right away, making sure you can log in there with no problem. Another issue that might come up, I want to make sure you realize that even though our library is physically located here in Alva, because you're a member of our university, you have a right to the same resources, the same library resources that all the students here in Alva have. That includes not only our digital resources, which you can access remotely from anywhere over your computer, it also means our books. It also means our print resources. Even those resources that we don't normally check out to students here, we will send to you if you need them. There's a couple of ways you can potentially do that. If you're in our catalog system, you find a book. Let's bring that encyclopedia back up. Did I spell encyclopedia correctly? Let's see. Well, we got a few encyclopedias. Let's just take this as an example. It's Encyclopedia of Philosophy. Let's see that you wanted this. You'll see there's a button over here, Request NWOSU Owned Item. I believe that will ask you to log in. Yeah, it will. So do make sure you set up your account soon, because if you need to request things like this, you want to be already able to do that. And so again, not be setting up your account when it's time sensitive. So I recommend after you watch this video, try logging in from off campus, assuming as soon as you're able, assuming you're off campus. And also set up your library account. Once you have that set up, once you're logged in, then this is going to take you to a form. In fact, I think I'll log in so I can show you. Shouldn't be able to see my password. So there we go. There we go. So it's going to bring you up a form like this. And I'm going to put in, let's see, I need this. I need, sure, any copy. Where am I going to pick it up? Well, if you're near one of our satellite campuses, I strongly recommend you choose that. If you can get to a satellite campus, because then we'll send it to you by courier. It should arrive the next business day. There'll be no postage involved. On the other hand, if you cannot get to one of our campuses, you can put down here in the notes your address where you need us to mail it. We'll send that out to you. You will be responsible for return postage when it comes to sending it back to us, but we will mail books out to you. So I think that's most of what I wanted to cover. Wanted to make sure you do understand that you have access to anything we have here. Let me come back in to our main page. One final thing I'll leave you with is my contact information. My contact information is all over this website. And there's a reason for that, because if you're having any kind of difficulties finding what you need, refining a research topic, locating resources, figuring out how this website works, finding something out on the shelves, any questions like that, I'm typically your main point of contact. Any of the library staff or any of the librarians will be happy to help you, but I'm usually the one who deals with those kinds of questions. So as you can see, my contact information is here. You can call me, you can email me. I'm usually in the office from 8 to 5. If I'm out because I'm teaching a class or for some other reason, leave voicemail. I will get back to you. I do answer emails in a timely manner, again, because dealing with these kinds of questions is part of my job. You can also even use these forms that are in our drop-down menu. There's one in the About menu and one also in the Help menu. They look a little different. They actually go to the same place. That same place, by the way, is me. If you fill out one of those forms, we will get back to you. We will resolve whatever problem you're having. One thing I also want to recommend to you is if you are having difficulty finding something, if you're getting frustrated, don't wait till the last minute to get in contact with me. I've had students tell me, I've been trying for 2 weeks, I can't find resources on this topic. And then usually after I sit them down, probably within, say, 10 minutes, we've managed to find some resources. It was just their search strategy was maybe not working out for them the way they thought it should, or there was something else going on. That's 2 weeks of frustration, 2 weeks of wasted time that really didn't need to happen. So if you're not finding what you think you ought to be finding, get in contact with me right away. We'll be able to get that resolved. You'll be able to go back to what you're doing, and we'll be having to waste your time fruitlessly, not finding what you should be finding. So keep that in mind. Thank you for watching this little video, and perhaps I will see you in the library in the near future.